guys, Righteous Rhema here, bringing you your dose of truth for the day, and that is this. Stop asking why me. Stop asking why me questions. Stop asking God, why me? Why did you let me go through that? I'm about to tell you why it had to be you, okay? So by the end of this video, you're going to know the answer to the question, why me, Lord, or why me? So I'm going to go around until I get to the answer. So when the Lord wants to deliver a people, he always does it through a deliverer. Make sense? When God wants to deliver people, he does it through a deliverer. So if you had a lot of those why me questions, more than likely you are what I would consider a deliverer. You are a deliverer. If you look throughout the Bible, you'll see examples of where God would always use a man who was a deliverer to lead people out of bondage. So if the people, Israelites, were acting wild now, they got in bondage, he would always raise up a deliverer. This is read the book of Judges. He would raise up a deliverer. And because the reason he would bring up a deliverer, Moses, another example, Jesus, John the Baptist, Peter, Paul, varying degrees of deliverers. The reason God would use deliverers is because, first of all, one of the answers to why me is that it's not about you. So that's the first answer. It's not about you. So you were brought up not to have a perfect, easy, peaceful life. You were brought up to be a deliverer for such a time as this. Esther, she was a female deliverer. So women can be deliverers as well. So the reason you had to go through it, because it wasn't about you. It was about the people that you had to get delivered from a particular situation, okay? It wasn't about you. It wasn't about you. I'm going to use Harriet Tubman as an example. I asked God on my lunch break, for a topic, and this is what came up. It was the word trailblazer came up, pioneer, frontiersman, and Harriet Tubman. So this is the result of that video. I asked God on my lunch break today for a video, because I haven't done a video in a little bit, not too long, but in a little bit, and that's what he gave me. So I'm going to talk to you about why is you, why you. So when God wants to deliver people, he always uses a deliverer. He doesn't just tell people, hey, y'all, just be free. Never. Nowhere in Scripture. When God wants to set people free, he always uses a leader. He uses an individual who's a leader, and people will follow the leader. Follow the leader. Everyone's not a leader. Everyone's not a leader. And people who are not leaders, they need a leader to lead them to a particular place. People often referred to as sheep, in the Bible. Because most people are just followers. They don't have their own way, their direction in this. They just follow the other sheep. And sheep will literally follow each other off of a cliff. Like, it actually, you can look in Google and look up a story. It was like a lot of sheep, they just follow one sheep off a cliff. But then the ones, of course, under died because they hit the ground. But then the ones above, it was so like a soft, pillowy, woolly pillow at the bottom. The ones on top lived, but they literally follow each other off the cliff. That's what followers do, sheep do. But if you are a leader, God chose you to go through it because you were the trailblazer. You were the pioneer. You were the one who was going to go through uncharted territory, unsettled territory, and you were going to prepare the place for other people to come through behind you. One thing you must understand is that people can only get places through ways. Can we agree on that? People can only get to a place through a way. If I wanted to get, I'm not good with directions, but if I wanted to get out of Memphis, I would take, 55 South, 55 North, I-40 East or West. I can't get out where I am unless I have a way out. I have to have a way. And the way that's been prepared for Memphians is 55 and 40. That's how we get out. That's how you get out. You can, with the car, you got to use those ways to get out. So, but those ways weren't always there. They had to be created. They had to be made. So somebody had to go out there and blaze a trail where there was no trail. They had to make a way where there was no way. And they had to make it so that so now millions of people can go in and out of Memphis, either north, south, east, or west, because somebody blazed a trail, okay? So that's what you're doing. When you go through hell for the first time in your group, either it's in your region, your neighborhood, your church, your family, when you go through hell first, that basically that is you're blazing a trail for people to come behind you. Because nobody's going to make a wave but a leader. Only leaders make waves. Followers never make waves. They just stay where they are in their situation. Harriet Tubman, I watched a documentary on her when I came back from my lunch break. Harriet Tubman, she was a way maker. Even though she did not make the Underground Railroad, I'll tell you a little fact. She was born 200 years ago. They don't have her actual birth date because they didn't celebrate birthdays for slaves. But she was born in 1820. So last year was 2020, so it was 200 years ago, over 200 years ago. And the Underground Railroad was founded, in 1831. So she, so it was around when she was still, a little girl. But even as a little girl, they said she used to get beat every day by her slave master because she was very rebellious. She just, at first they tried to put her in the house, be a house slave. She didn't do too well with the domestic stuff, so they put her out in the farm. The men, she worked as good as any man out there. She was very strong. But she got beat every day because she was what they would consider rebellious. She got beat every day. And she actually got in trouble and had a head injury because I don't think it was between the ages of 11 and 15. I think it might have been, it was really young. Well, I guess a runaway slave was trying to get away and it was hiding. He or she was hiding. And Harriet Tubman was holding the door shut. So she got hit in the head with a 2-pound weight and she had a brain injury. She had a coma and, she had sleeping spells until she died from that brain injury because she cracked her skull. So even as a little girl, she had it in her to set people free. And some of you all noticed that when you were little, you just were different. You just couldn't get along with everybody else was doing what they wanted to do. You just couldn't get along with the way things were. You weren't satisfied with the status quo. You were like, this ain't right. I'm not getting down with this. You were considered rebellious by your parents, by your pastor, by your teacher, because you knew whatever the system they had going on, it was legalized, but it wasn't right, and you knew it wasn't right, and you weren't going. So Harriet Tubman, and she got married at 24 years old. She married to a free man, a man named John Tubman, but just because he was free did not mean she was free. And so she found out that she was going to be sold on a chain gang to the south, further into the south. And so she tried to escape with her 3 brothers. She was going to leave her brothers out. She said, y'all, daddy told me, she had 10 brothers and sisters. So daddy told me how to use the stars to get out, to find a way to freedom. I promise you I can get y'all out. They didn't, so they started out and the men got scared, the brothers got scared, they went back. So, but the next day, when they came back after the next day, when they came back, she found out the next day she was supposed to be sold into slavery. So she was like, nah, I got to get out of here. So she escaped. And that's how she started her whole escape thing. And after her escape, she came back 19 times. She saved over 300 slaves, delivered over 300 slaves. But what was interesting to me was that I know for a fact that if she had not first been through slavery, been through the hell on the horrors of slavery, she would have known how important it was to escape. She was like, well, if I never been through it, maybe it's not so bad after all. Like the slave masters didn't think it was that bad because they didn't go through it. But people, sometimes you have to go through something in order to get the passion and sometimes a hatred for it to fight against it. So you had to go through it first because you're a leader. People follow you. You're a frontiersman. You're a pioneer. You're a trailblazer. You had to go through it first, okay? You had to go through it first. Okay, so come back for part 2.